this meeting to order. First, we would like to welcome you, and we appreciate you coming out. Looks like we have another full house. If you will, stand with us by First Reformed Church in Landis.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we bow before you, recognizing your presence in this room, recognizing that presence is real and that presence is strong. And Father, in this place, we ask that you would continue to bless the family of Bobby Brown, that you would walk them through this time. We give you thanks again for Alderman Brown's service to this community over the years, the many countless years, days, and hours that he put in. We give you thanks for that service. We ask you to bless his family, walk with them through this time of grief, comfort them, and may the support that they've received, both near and far, give them great encouragement through this time. Father, we ask your blessings on this meeting tonight. We give you thanks for those who have served, who will step off very soon, and those who are newly elected to the office, who will come on. We pray, Lord, that you would give your wisdom, give your direction, give your protection, and always, Lord, to those who would be open to receive it. And so, Lord, again, you bless this meeting and those in this room and those watching as well. Bless this town, Lord. Continue to cause it to prosper. Continue to bless it and the citizens who call it home. Father, we ask you to bless our service personnel, those who work the streets, those who are in the emergency personnel, the fire, the police, the first responders. You protect them, Lord. You guard and guide their families as well. And during this season, Lord, we also very thankful for them and for their support to this community, even when we don't know they're around. And so again, Lord, you protect them and guard them. Father, we ask your blessings again on this town, on the citizens. We thank you. We thank you for a state. We thank you for a nation of freedom. And we thank you for those who serve both near and far in peaceful and not so peaceful situations in our military. Would you bless them so that we can continue to do and say exactly what we do and say in this room tonight and always. And it's in Jesus' name, and all of God's people said.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Come, you lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business number 5 will be the agenda adoption.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Have a motion.
I make a motion.
Second. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda would be consider adopting the minutes from the October 7th, 2019 regular meeting.
I move that we adopt the minutes from the October 7th, 2019 regular meeting.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, call to order a public hearing for the voluntary annexation request. Roger.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Board, this is in reference to Haskell Hardware coming to Town Hall petition that parcel number 156-08101, which is actually located at 2908 Kirk Avenue in Kannapolis, be voluntarily annexed into the town of Landis. He has purchased this piece of property, and his intentions on using it is to be a parking lot for his business. sir. So what you need to do now, if you would, just open it up for a public hearing.
Yes, sir. All right. Public hearing is now open for the, discuss the voluntary annexation request.
Don't believe we have any.
No, I don't think we have any problem.
Do we need a motion
No.
to do that?
No. To close it.
We have to, motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mayor, with no one speaking, coming forward, Mr. Garver here is going to read the ordinance for that piece of property come into the corporate limits.
This is from the town of Landis, an ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Landis, North Carolina. Whereas the Board of Aldermen finds that the petition meet the requirements of GS 160A-31. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the town of Landis, North Carolina, that Section 1, by virtue of the authority granted by GS 160A-31, the following described territory is hereby annexed and made part of the town of Landis as of this day, the 20th. Property is identified as the tax map and parcel 156-08101, located at 2908 Kirk Avenue, Kannapolis, North Carolina. Section 2, upon and after the above described territory and its citizens and property shall be subject to all debts, laws, ordinances, and regulations in force in the town of Landis, and shall be entitled to the same privileges and benefits as other parts of the town of Landis. Said territory shall be subject to municipal taxes according to GS 168-58.10. Section 3. The mayor of the town of Landis shall cause to be recorded in the office of the Register of Deeds of Rowan County and the office of the Secretary of State of Raleigh, North Carolina, an accurate map of the annexed territory described in Section 1 above, together with a duly certified copy of this ordinance. Such a map shall be delivered to the County Board of Elections as required by GS 160-288.1. And this will be signed by Mayor Mike Mahaley.
Any discussion?
Just one quick thing, just a grammar check. On Section 2, where it says debts, laws, ordinances, and regulations, is it supposed to be enforced or enforced?
Enforced.
Enforced, so we should change that. That's right after regulations, it should be enforced, one word, E-N. That's all.
So,
Just when everybody checks the history books and make sure that we put it on.
that's good. Move on to the budget.
Okay, number 9 will be considered a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2018-2019. Mr. Hudson.
Yeah, we didn't actually vote. I move that we adopt the ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Landis as in
I
Will.
second it.
Okay.
yeah, we had that.
Okay. We have a motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, the budget amendment.
Bear with me here a second, I was making sure our screen was working.
Take your time. The budget amendment.
Yes, sir. The first budget amendment you have before you is essentially a cleanup amendment after receiving back our preliminary audit from our auditor. We had a couple areas where our expenses, we had some last minute expenses and things that came in that I didn't project, so it just cleans it up. We're not spending any more money, we're just bringing our budget into line with the money that got spent. On the general fund, it appropriates $38,000 from the fund balance. Of that, recreation, $15,000 goes to recreation, $23,000 goes to debt service. The debt service was exactly that. The former finance officer failed to budget enough money to pay all our loan bills, and I simply didn't catch it before the auditors did. And under recreation, that was fees that were associated primarily with planning the passive park, and those monies came from the DC Lynn family money, proceeds from the sale of those properties. And then under the stormwater fund, it's $25,000 appropriated from the stormwater fund balance into expenditures, and I believe that's mainly due to salary overruns in stormwater. So again, this doesn't spend any money that's not already spent. This just brings our books into line.
Any questions?
Need a motion to pass.
We're just doing the 2018 to 2019 right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I move that we amend the budget as discussed for the fiscal year 2018-2019.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mayor and Board, the next item is the budget amendment for fiscal year 1920. What you see before you might be kind of counterintuitive at the beginning. When we did our budget, I projected $252,000 in revenue from insurance proceeds from the bonds, the surety bonds on a former manager and finance officer, as well as an employee theft coverage. Actually, I did $152,000 because at that time they had denied the $100,000 and we appealed it and ended up getting it. So we had made in the last budget adjustment that showed $252,000. Well, the auditors have now informed me that since that money was received within 90 days of the close of the fiscal year, and we were aware that we were going to be getting it, that it, for accounting purposes, needs to be reported as revenue in last year. So they're simply shifting it, showing it as income last year, and then we just show it as monies appropriated from last year, from the fund balance this year. So they just moved it back, and we just got to substitute it. So no actual money has changed in place. We still got $252,000. This just again brings us in line with something that the auditors changed on it. There's several increases here in other budgets. Administration increased by $38,000. Administration contingency decreased by $111,000. That's to cover these increases. Police is increased by $18,000. Streets increased by $10,000. Parks and Recreation increased by $45,000. Now, on those particular line items, I can break it down for you. The administration increase of $38,000. $30,000 of that is additional fees that we have incurred for the forensic audit that's running along with the SBI investigation. $8,000 is to purchase the decent conference room table and conference room furniture. So that's the $38,000 under administration. Under the police, the increase of $18,000, $15,000 of that is for building maintenance. The bids that we had received today for the holding cell and remodeling the bathrooms and whatnot have all come in higher than expected. The economy's good, so contractors are charging a premium. So $15,000 of that is there. The additional $3,000, so we've had some turnover in the police department, so we need to buy a couple new bulletproof vests, and those things are pretty expensive, and outfit a couple new officers, so those funds are going to be used for that. In the street department, the $10,000, the multi-pile cleanup that we're being forced to do by DEQ, we originally budgeted based off a verbal estimate that was given to us by one of the people that did bid, but not the winning bidder. He told us it would cost $20,000 to do it, so that's what we appropriated. When the bids come in, the cheapest bid was $28,000, and his wasn't that. So the $10,000 there goes to cover the higher than anticipated cost in contracting for that cleanup that DEQ, the state basically is requiring us to do. And on Parks and Recreation, a $45,000 increase is to appropriate monies for a tentative legal settlement with Mount Ryan Lutheran Church regarding a property dispute on properties that the town and the church have had some questions about where the property lines are and who owns what. But I think we've reached a tentative agreement there, and that's just setting aside the monies required to bring that settlement to fruition. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions, gentlemen? Good explanation.
I move that we amend the budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020 as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The next one's me too. Consider a resolution to provide for the administrative disposition of law enforcement weapons and badges. Gentlemen, before you is a resolution that will basically legally authorize me to be doing what has been the practice in the town for years. A lot of the things that I'm finding our practices have been inconsistent with the law. I'm just trying to bring everything into order. The law specifically provides under Chapter 20, General Statute 20-187.2, that the town has the authority to award service weapons and badges to members of law enforcement agencies who are either killed in the line of duty or who retire. And that has to be action taken by the board under the statute unless it's delegated, and this simply delegates that authority to me. In the past, the former town manager always handled it. I don't think a formal resolution like this was ever done, so I just want to make sure everything's on the up and up. The second thing that it does, again, formally I think was handled the same way, is if we change weapon types, then it allows me to allow the officers to buy their old weapons. So when we switch like from Glock to F&N or whatnot as a handgun, it allows the officers to buy, and many of them want to buy their old weapons at a fair market price. And of course that would be recorded. But that's what it does. The other thing for retiring officers is there are some agencies that make the officers buy their weapons when they retire. It says the town may award, it doesn't say they shall. It says they shall award the badge, but they may award the firearm. And of course, all this is contingent upon the officer or the next of kin being eligible under state and federal law to possess a firearm. The other thing this does, which I thought was fair, but I want to point out that this was something that when I drafted this, that I included, it was a judgment call on my part. It's not something that's contemplated in the statute. So I'll make sure y'all understand and agree to it. It says the retiring officer shall be assessed the fair market price for any weapons requested, provided that amount shall be reduced by 25% for each 5 years of creditable service with the Landis Police Department. The surviving relative of any officer killed in the line of duty shall be provided with that officer's primary sidearm at no charge. So what that does is saying, if you've got an officer that's retiring, we could say, well, you have to pay full fair market price for your weapon. But essentially, once we've got somebody that served 20 years with us, I think it's fair and appropriate at that point that we may be awarded a sidearm. So I would be happy to answer any questions you gentlemen may have regarding this resolution.
I make a motion we adopt this resolution as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you would, I believe the board desired to make an appointment to the seat that was formerly held by Alderman Brown. So if the board wishes to take action on that tonight, now would be the appropriate time. You would need a motion and a second to vote with discussion on who you would like to appoint. And if you come to a consensus regarding who you're going to appoint, it would be appropriate to go ahead and swear him in at this time.
As much as I regret having to replace Bobby, he was a good friend of mine. I've known him all my life. We're going to have to fill his seat. And I've got a fellow in mind that I knew his papa 65 years ago, and Daddy didn't live in Landis, lived in Campus, but this gentleman's lived in town a long time, and he works for Atlantic American Properties, and he could bring a lot of experience to us about planning and zoning and building things, and since he worked for Atlantic American, and I'd like to recommend Darrell Ubercash fill Bobby, rest of Bobby's term.
I'll second that. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Yes, my vote is yes. Okay. You want to do this now?
Yes, sir, it'd be the perfect time to do it now. Mr. Overpack, you come.
I, Darrell Overcash, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States.
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina
I will be faithful and true and bear allegiance to the state of North Carolina,
and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof. The constitutional powers and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be
which are or may be
established for the government thereof,
thereof.
that I will endeavor to support,
I will endeavor to
maintain, defend the Constitution and laws of said state,
the Constitution and laws of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of my office as Alderman.
of my office as Alderman.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We're going to have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce y'all to Darrell. And he's now taking his rightful place. Citizens' comments is next.
Mr. Mayor, the first name on the list is Ms. Nadine Cherry.
Nadine Cherry, 410 West Garden Street, Landis. As I look back over what has taken place this year in this town, I am really disappointed. But as I'm seeing a new year starting to come in a little over a month, I'm hoping that we can get some of these things that have happened under our belt and tighten up where it never ever happens again. There's a lot of things that I have told boards, especially this board and previous boards. None of it really has come to fruition, but Mayor Mahaley, I can say that I believe it was the first meeting after you were sworn in this term, I talked about the lights and all. Within just a few days, everything was fixed. and the lights were fixed, but guess what? Go out here and look under the awnings again, they're out again, and there's still a bunch of them out. I'm just hoping that we can get this town going again, because I would really love to see it. Seth, I appreciate your service for the last almost 4 years. And I think the way things have happened, that you have done a good job. So I did want to say that to y'all, and I'm just going to stop at that. But, you know, I'm just hoping that we can start growing again and get some of this stuff that has happened to us, get it out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Alderman-elect Ashley Stewart.
Ashley Stewart, 309 North Zion Street here in Landis, North Carolina. On behalf of myself and my family, I want to tell the citizens of Landis that voted for myself, thank you very much for your vote of confidence. I look forward to being an integral part of this board and being a good steward for the betterment of all of us in the town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Mayor-elect Meredith Smith.
Good evening, Meredith Smith, 401 West Hope Street. I'll just kind of repeat what Ashley said. I thank you, each and every one of you. Our team worked really hard to make this happen, and I feel that we worked through a lot of controversy, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I'll look forward to working with Daryl and Tony, and I appreciate everything that y'all did for us, and we will see you next month. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the next and final speaker is Mr. Mike Wallace.
Hello, everybody. Mike Wallace of 501 North Main or South Main, 1001 South Main, 1109 South Main. So, Liz, first of all, I'd like to take a moment and issue our family condolences to Bobby Brown's family. Unfortunately, last week when we had our last flea market, a year later in that day, we lost my mother-in-law on the same day. So know what that's all about. So to Bobby's family, please know we're thinking about you. And I'd like to start because we're a business owner here in town, and it takes a lot of work from everybody's behalf and a lot of support. I'd like to sit here and first of all thank all the employees of the town of Landis. Ron Miller, Brett and Lynn, police officers, aldermen, everybody, thank you. I know there's going to be a change in the board. So the ones that are leaving, farewell and have a great retirement. Maybe not a retirement, but we can all meet down at Punchy's. People can take our pictures. I promise a Russian alley guard will pay for the meal. And that's what I'm trying to do. And then to the new board, you're welcome. It'll be exciting to see what takes place. Daryl, I thought there was an open seat, so I was coming to apply for it, but you got it, so congratulations what you're doing. And I wanted to clear up just a couple things because, you know, this town has been riddled by negative comments. And as a person that doesn't live here, but pays tens of thousands of dollars a year in taxes and tries to do business here, it's very difficult when you have people negatively trying to promote a town. So I ask that we become good neighbors. Good business neighbors, good neighbors. And if you take a moment, a little bit of your time, and I did it for about 15 minutes a little while ago, I looked up what the definition of a good neighbor is. A good neighbor is a person that goes to their next door neighbor, worries about their little area, their community, They don't try to take the full town on by themselves. Tell the whole town what the problem is. Call about every complaint there is. As we know, there's a few people that do that. I ask you to stop that. It's doing nothing good. It's not accomplishing one solid, positive goal. Worry about your own area, worry about the community we live in, and we can grow and make this a great town. And I just really wanted to... my battery's on that.
Just switched to that.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll do better.
Yeah, the biggest thing is wanting to ask people to be a good neighbor. It's a very, very, very simple thing spelled out. There's about 7 different, if you look online, there's about 7 simple ways of being a good neighbor. And again, that doesn't mean encompassing the whole town to be a good neighbor. Just take care of your area. And one final thing, there seems to have been a lot of confusion. I would like to clarify just from our side meaning my family side. There's a lot of people that think that the town of Landis owns the ballpark property. The town of Landis has never owned the ballpark property. We own the ballpark property. Anything that is to be done on the ballpark property has to go through us to give the approval to. I just wanted to make that clear because I've had numerous people come up and tell me somebody's going to do this, somebody's going to do that, and I'd like to be a good neighbor. So as we help Punchies with a little parking area down there and different things, and would like to put it out there. For some reason, the town of Landis would like to make that a focal point for the town and a great park. It could be for sale, and we will be happy to carry the note on the property. So thank you very much, and best wishes to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Is that it? Okay, next on the agenda is comments from department heads.
Yeah, we got 14.
Yes. Okay, we need to let's get the speaker working, huh? That was working, yeah. Well, I think they can hear me.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
We've got a whole house full of cell phones and that's what wireless wants.
Next on that.
I moved to...
Let me.
Oh, you're going to finish.
We need to consider moving the regular December meeting to December the 9th, 2019.
I move to move the regular December meeting to Monday, December 9th, 2019.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Department heads.
Good evening. I've been here now for about 2 months, and it has been a pleasurable time. I think we're making progress. You'll notice as when you receive your financial statements this time that our fund balance is moving up significantly. We're doing a great job, I think, with the staff of money management and making sure that we're paying our bills on time, and that our receipts are coming in for our utility billings and taxes, and everything seems to be moving along smoothly. And I'd just like to thank you again for the opportunity to be here and serve as a finance officer. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I have several things to announce. I'll start with Parks and Recs, and Jessica wasn't able to be here, so she asked me to make a couple of announcements. One was she was very grateful for the turnout for our fall festival that we had on October 26th. It turned out to be a successful day. With the biggest part of it seemed to be for the park for the kids with the little the play area and giving out the trunk or treat. And she wants to express her gratitude for for everybody that participated in that. And we estimated there may have been about 1,500 people there throughout the day. And obviously we ended with the concert at the end of the day. A couple of upcoming events for the Parks and Recs is Friday, December the 6th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. will be the downtown Christmas tree lighting. With that will be some student choirs that will be singing, hot chocolate will be served, and also that will be the start of our traditional, I guess you could say, the mailbox for letters to Santa. And she wanted me to express that if any letters are dropped off or return address, that Santa will be replying to those letters. After that, a week following from that, Friday, December the 13th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the park office will be, I think she calls it the Campfire Christmas by the Lake. And at that event, Santa Claus actually will be there for a meeting, and also hot chocolate with snacks. And there will be a campfire going with marshmallows at that event. With the fire department, just want to say thank you we didn't have a big turnout. We had a lot to compete with. We had our one and only that I know of since I've been in the fire department, an open house. And a lot of people, some members came to help facilitate that. Dealing with the weather and other events, we maybe had 30 to 50 people that walked in, most of them kids. And if nothing else, maybe we can make an impression on them. And we're looking to do it maybe in a couple more months and maybe a better turnout. And thanks for everyone that came to that. Also, to make an announcement that there's going to be a street closure on November 26th between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. North and Main Street from about 5th Street to our city limits on the north side, and that's for the Southern Rowan Christmas Parade. And lastly, we've made a lot of capital expenses in the last 4 years that I've been here. A lot for fire and for public works, light department, sewer, water. But the biggest one that I know of, and maybe the only one I can think of that we've ever done for the street department, was a leaf machine. With that, I would just like to say they are very grateful for that leaf machine. They're able to do a lot more, a lot faster, and someone actually rides the machine, so they're able to cover a lot of territory a lot faster. Keep in mind that leaf season is always right here at Thanksgiving, it's always, I understand people want to get the leaves up before Thanksgiving, but as normal, we have very short weeks and we have a parade and all that, and normally it's out every day, but there's only one of them that's running right now, and whenever after the holidays, we'll be able to catch up first as we have full weeks to be able to attend to it. Thank you, that's all my announcement.
Thank you, Rob.
Mayor and Board, I've only got one thing tonight. Well, I take that back. It's kind of a compound thing. Again, just to echo what we all said on Monday night, Bobby's seat may be filled, but Bobby's shoes never will be. You know, he was a great man, and I know we're all going to miss him. And again, to extend our condolences to the family. The majority of the town staff want to go to Mr. Brown's service on Friday. So in consideration of that, we're going to be closing City Hall at 11 a.m. on Friday for the actual service. Viewing's Thursday, the service is Friday. So Town Hall will be closed at 11 a.m. on Friday so that staff can attend the services.
Mr. Mayor, board members, this will be the second year in a row that the Landis Police Department has partnered with the Woodmen of the World insurance company. We're going to do Shop with a Cop. And we've got one student from Landis Elementary, one from Corey Light, and one from South Carolina. We'll be taking them shopping right before Christmas. And thank that company for partnering with us. I do believe this helps foster some relationships between children and officers, and that's something that needs to happen. So we've got 3 very good candidates. Looking forward to it on December 7th. It's a Saturday. So we'll do that. Thank you.
Good evening again. I only have 2. On October 31st, we had a pretty powerful windstorm come through, and unfortunately blew down a big tree and knocked some power out. So I just really want to thank our citizens who were affected by that for their patience, and but more so supporting our staff. And so the town of Landis' staff is extremely blessed to have the citizens that we do, and so I just want to say thank you. But also, next year is pretty exciting. Reason being, 2020 census will be starting, and so I'm excited to see what the future growth is going to be for Landis. The last one that was conducted was back in 2010, and so eventually at some point I will be starting up a small committee that will possibly help me get the word and do some, go out here and do some public education on the census so we could figure out how much growth we've had within the last 10 years.
Thank you, Randy. Mr. Locklear?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'd like to first state that, when I got the news that Bobby had passed away on Sunday night, I was really kind of taken off guard by that. I wasn't expecting that. He was the next youngest board member up here, and he was a great guy, a great public servant through and through, from his time with the fire department, his time in law enforcement, and then also on the board for multiple terms. He was always kind. Whether you agreed with him or not, he would still talk to you and hear you out. Me and him, we saw eye to eye on some things, didn't see eye to eye on others. But he would always listen to you, hear you out, very kind. I don't think that he ever had anybody who wasn't friendly to. Everyone, whether you would like him or not, he would probably consider you a friend of his. And I didn't get to know him that long, but it was a pleasure serving with him the 2 years that I was able to serve with him. And I will be continuing to have his family in my thoughts and prayers for this time of their grief. Second, I'd like to congratulate Daryl. I remember a couple of years ago, it was either shortly after I was elected in 2016 or sometime in 2017, he told me one thing that I've tried to keep in mind when you're dealing with citizens and what people may be saying here and there. And he told me, whether they're saying something good about you or they're saying something bad about you, at least they're talking about you. So I've tried to, in my 4 years that I've been up here, try and take, people say this, say that, just kind of shake it off. Sometimes it's easier to shake off than other times. And sometimes people may be informed, misinformed, doesn't matter. People will talk, and maybe they have it right, maybe they don't, maybe they know better than I do, but I've tried to do what I could for my town in the 4 years that I've been here. And it's been a pleasure serving with all 4 of these board members, even though with Daryl it's only going to be about a month. And then also with Dennis and Dorland as well. It was a pleasure serving with all of these men up here. And I didn't come up here to try and get elected for a legacy or anything like that. I've lived here my entire life on Daybrook Drive. I care about my town. I love my town. And I just hope that everybody, you don't have to put me down in the history books. I can just be an afterthought. I don't really care. But I hope that for those who supported me and those that may have not supported me or didn't like me or didn't like certain things that I've said, I hope that you know that I love this town and that I really care about all of you. And I'm going to miss it, but at the same time I'm going to be glad that it's over. It's been a long 4 years, and especially the last year. It's been a heck of a year. So I'd like to thank you all for your support, and I'll turn it over to Daryl.
I would like to say thanks for the appointment. It's going to be interesting. Good thing is I don't have it 2 years ago. They're going to have 4. I'd like to echo what Seth said. That wasn't my saying, that was my cousin's saying. Frank Tedlock, the late Frank Tedlock, he was a Rowan County Commissioner, and when he started running for board, I guess he dreamed that up or heard it from somebody, but it's a good saying. But I'd like to thank the board, and I'd like to thank everybody in the audience for the participation we've had. We've had a bad year. It's time to put it behind us. I'm new. We got 3 new ones coming on, Meredith, Katie, Ashley, I'm looking forward to working with them, and Tony. I hope we can all work together, get along and move this town forward. Like Mike Wallace said, he'd like to sell all his stuff out and let's put some businesses in there. And just be nice to people. Like Mike said, talk to your neighbor. If I talk to my neighbor and my neighbor talks to their neighbor, it'll all be covered in a little while. It'll take long. And I'd like to say, Tommy and Sid, thanks for y'all's service. I know it hasn't been fun, but you enjoyed it. I'm sure. That's all I want.
I echo the comments of these two young men over here. I can say everybody up here because I'm the oldest one, I imagine. But I'd just say two other things. I've got a nice little house in Myrtle Beach, and I'm going to be down there a whole lot. Over now.
I was on the way to Mount Pleasant one night last week, and I was listening to Carl Ford's radio station, and all of a sudden he informs me that he had heard or been told that two of the remaining board members in Landis were going to resign at the first meeting in January. Well, I don't know who told him that, but I don't appreciate him spreading rumors and innuendos and talking about stuff he don't know what he's talking about. He knows me. He knows where I work. He's known me all my life. He could have called me and asked me if I was going to resign. Me and Bobby Brown had no intentions of ever resigning. We never told anybody we were ever going to resign. And I resent that he did that. And then later on, he informed us that the investigation was probably going to be over before Christmas. Well, I don't know where he got that information either. The Attorney General, the Governor, or the SBI, or the FBI, where he got it. I don't appreciate him making them comments either. And I've left him messages, and he has not returned my call. So probably ain't going to return my call. Anyway, and I really appreciate Mr. Wallace making his comments. We got too many people nitpicking about little small things don't make no difference. We got a lot of money gone. And that's what we need to be concentrated on. And these people have set up programs and institutions and things to take care of this, and they're on the right track with everything they've done. And I really appreciate it. This lady was here the other night at 9 o'clock when I was here. She's working hard, and she's doing a good job, real good job. So, and there was something said in the paper about finding industry. Well, we work with Rowan County Economic Development, and they know the properties in town, and they're professionals. So if they can find some industry to locate in Landis, they want to do it. But we don't need people making comments in the paper about we need industry. Everybody knows everybody needs industry, but get it and get them here. That'd be one thing.
Could I just add to what you just said there about the industry? The town of Landis, Brandon, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interject, but I did. With the help of the town of Landis, Brandon Lynn, people within the area, we, on our ballpark property and the properties that we have, the Rowan Economic Development Board, along with Electricities.
We have I'm going to switch that a little bit more problematic. Can't hear right now.
Okay, is that any better? Okay, I'll back up just a second. When you just heard industry, it caught my attention, and I do want to let you know that the town of Landis has been supportive from Brandon Lynn, from the mayor, from the Rowan Economic Development Board to Electricities. We have all met, we've all conversed, we've all put our property in a program that they are trying and soliciting development and industry for the town of Landis. It was created by Brandon. He brought it to the table. The chief was involved in it, so I would like to compliment whatever the negativity again. There is positivity going on. Just we need to keep that, but Tony, that is happening, at least on the property we own across the street.
I just want to call people's attention that there's people working on that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as we all know, I mean, if you have the one thing that makes any town prosper is growth, controlled growth. Control it in the way that the town can take care of it, the citizens can take care of it, all the utilities can take care of it. But this town is perfectly primed for wonderful development.
Yeah.
It's lodged in a nice little position between Charlotte, the Greensboro area, right in the middle. It's a great place. You know, as I explained to my family, I'd live here if we didn't live where we live. We've got a major investment. We own 45 acres of property right here on Main Street and 120,000 square feet of building space. So be proud of the town. Everybody be proud of your town. work to be prouder of it, because, and don't be scared to open a business. I'll come and buy ice cream if you open the dairy bar again, I swear. I love ice cream. So step up to the table, be part of the community, and be a change of action. So.
I appreciate the flea market you're doing. I bought something no matter everyone that.
We appreciate you showing up. We love the support. Thank you.
And the other thing I was going to say is, if anybody's rode around and looked, there's houses going up all over town. We're growing. We're growing. That's all I have.
I would like to also tell everybody, please keep Bobby Brown's family in your prayers. They're expected having a hard time with this right here. He has one sister there, and he has a son. So if you would always, and try and, when you look up here, when Daryl's here, think of Bobby too. And the next thing I'd like to say, I would like to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to serve as your mayor for 4 years. I appreciate it. And that's all I have to say.
Make a motion.
Make a motion to resign.
I second.
I make a motion.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion.
And a second.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
God bless Landis.
Get in there.